Yo,
What up, dum dum?
what's up, man? How's it going?
Living the dream, dude. Living the dream.
Yeah. Uh,
So what happened to your voice right there?
well, I was,
Yeah.
I was, kind of, I don't know if I lost my voice a little bit from screaming so loud. We were doing all the fireworks and, doing some
Lots of Americas.
Americas and some yips and some
Well, you were
yeeps.
also kind of screaming that you were like
Yeah.
that high pitch, like
Well, I was
yeah.
running away from fireworks. They were scary.
That was a touchy moment there.
PTSD a little bit
We
coming
because
back. Some mortars.
you lit off that one super lame one, and then
Yeah.
we thought the second one was going to be super lame, and it was not super
It was
lame.
not super
So
lame.
I almost caught my hair on fire.
Yeah.
What up,
Probably
dude?
probably not the best influence for our kids to be watching us like being so close to fireworks. But speaking of
So
influencing,
real talk,
yeah,
real
real talk.
talk.
Okay.
So that you allowed Jacob to throw a firework yesterday,
Yeah.
which I had no problem with. My question to you is, and then Erica thought it was me and she yelled at me, which I thought was kind of funny.
Oh, good.
But my question is,
Yes.
would you
Mission
allow
accomplished.
your child at the same age when your children hit Jacob's age to make the question fair, will you allow them to throw a firework?
Yeah. I mean, I was allowing my 4-year-old to hold a firework out in front of him. I was
Oh
right
yeah, but
there.
that one's made to hold.
I
That
was
one's made
right.
to hold.
I was right there
That's
watching.
the that's the distinct difference.
I could have grabbed
Your
it and
son's
thrown it.
was made to hold. The one that Jake threw was not made to hold. I'm just curious.
Yes. Yes. I would have allowed my
Uh,
8-year-old son.
your wife will crush you. She will crush you if you try to allow your 8-year-old son to do that. But I hope to be there when it happens because I think it'll be a beautiful moment.
uh, Speaking of influence and teaching our kids values, let's talk deep thoughts. What deep thought do you have?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's this mastermind has been amazing. Been loving it, and some really cool things have been coming up. And
You're talking about the Storehouse Mastermind that we just opened.
the Storehouse Mastermind,
Yeah.
and we went into it talking about this specific one was talking through kind of whys. We're working through the part of the curriculum that is developing a why statement,
Yeah.
and a couple things of that. One, I think I know that a lot of us do not, it's just not a normal thing that we do, right? To spend time to intentionally build a why statement. There may be listeners that have done it or that do it, but I think the vast majority of men, we just don't. That's not something that we sit down and are very intentional about. So I love that element of the curriculum that we built into the Storehouse Mastermind. But we also started talking about financial freedom and the why behind financial freedom, kind of the two sides of the financial freedom coin. In this specific, I mean, there's a lot of conversation. There's a number of dumb dudes we can do on this, but this specific conversation went towards this idea that we have, and it's preached all the time. And it really, my mindset didn't change until the mastermind, this specific conversation in the mastermind, which I think is the whole point of it, right? And it's this idea that everything is quantifiable by a money amount. So I believe I am worth $100 an hour. So if I take all my tasks throughout my day and I break it down into these dollar signs of my time is $100. So something like cleaning the house or mowing the lawn, that's got a $25 value. So why don't I hire all this stuff that's under $100 out and then just focus on my $100 an hour thing and blah, 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 blah. And I think in theory and in like bite-sized little snippets, it sounds beautiful. It sounds great. And it sounds super smart and it sounds worthy. Right. But what is interesting is if you really analyze the things like most things in life, it's not as simple as tying a monetary dollar per hour to a thing. And so we started talking about from a parenting perspective, when you start, if I hire out, house cleaning services, and specifically you're talking about mowing the lawn, because you had recently hired that out,
Yeah.
and it'll maximize our productivity time to do our $100+ an hour tasks and blah blah blah. What was interesting is I brought a different perspective to the conversation, not because it was unintentional. I was simply giving an example of something that happened at my house, and it wasn't. I didn't bring it in as a to be 100% transparent and clear. I was on the side of this is how much my time is worth. I was on
Yeah.
that side, pay.
Yeah. And
But the example,
I think most
go ahead.
are, that are in this like journey of financial freedom, right?
Right, right. But the example that I brought in was more sharing a moment, actually quite a few moments that I was having with my youngest, and him being, because he's my biggest helper, dude. And but ironically, he's the youngest, and he wanted to mow the yard with me. And we have a pretty big yard, and it kind of dips and has some hills, just challenging. And so it started with him between my arms, and I'm pushing, and then his confidence grew. And so then he became, I could see his confidence growing. He's 5 years old.
Yeah.
And then he's like, Daddy, I want to do it by myself. I'm like, okay. And so then it went for me kind of walking next to him with my hand on it. And then I was turning the heavy lawnmower, doing the 180 to go back the other way. And that then, as his confidence grew, this is all one iteration of, this is a matter of minutes.
Yeah.
As his confidence grew, then he wanted to do it by himself. And then he wanted to turn it around. It was a significant effort for him, but that whole process and everything that came out of that was a beautiful time that me and my son had together. And I loved it. And he left it, empowered, confident. I had opportunities to praise him. I had opportunities to build him up. I had opportunities to express how proud I was of him, or I am of him, and how much I love him. And so if I hired that experience out, if I hired out mowing the lawn, then I lose the opportunity for all that other stuff that can't be measured with a $100 an hour thing. And would I trade, say that was $1,000 an hour, say it was $10,000 an hour, would I trade $10,000 an hour that I could have made for what me and my son shared? And I wouldn't. I personally would not.
Yeah. Well, and there's something about being a dad and leading your family and teaching them the values that you want to instill in your children. And for you and I, but one of those is work ethic, and working hard. And if you hire all that kind of stuff out, like kind of the manual labor stuff, if you hire all that out, your kids will never see you working hard. And working hard is a very vague description. But as a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old and an 8-year-old, they see working hard as manual labor, right? And so how can you teach a work ethic if you hire all that out? And it shifted my mind. Like my mindset has been shifted so many times on just this one thing of, at first I was like, yeah, I need to start hiring this kind of stuff out because I need to open up more time so I can do like those high dollar per time valued items. And, I'm worth more than mowing the lawn, and that'll give me more time with my kids. The first time I hired a lawnmower, a lawn guy to come, like I took my kids to the pool and I was like, yeah, this is great. Someone's doing my lawn while I'm playing at the pool with my kids. But then like this conversation we had, I was like, man, every time I mow the lawn, my son comes out with me, and he's 4. So I haven't let him push the real lawnmower yet, but he has a little play lawnmower, and he follows me around with his lawnmower, and he quote unquote mows the grass with me. And it's awesome. And there's like some connection there. And I feel that if I hired my lawn guy every single time, I would immediately lose that valuable time together and teaching him some pretty solid lessons. So, there was
And to that point though, at
yeah,
least you made what I appreciate about what you did is when you hired the lawn mowing out,
yeah,
you then took the kids and had a different experience with them.
sure,
So I think in the context of this conversation that but usually what it is people are hiring out these things so that they can then dedicate that time to work, the higher
sure,
dollar limit or the higher dollar activities,
yeah,
and or the
sitting on the
perceived
computer or
higher
sitting on
dollar.
your phone.
Right. Right. You took the kids, you did something, with the kids. And I think that's, great. And I think that's okay too. But there's two elements. I think, as I'm thinking through it, I want to do another dumb dudes on what hiring this stuff out does from an expectation standpoint to our kids. But
Yeah.
one point I want to touch on now is life skills.
Yeah.
And so if you don't do some of these things, then there's also some life skills that it not only the concept of hard work and getting a little sweaty and whatever, but even the appreciation and the joy. Like I love doing the yard. I
Yeah.
love doing the yard.
Yeah. Me too.
I great joy being outside and just everything about it. I really enjoy, except stepping in dog poop. Like that's the one part I don't enjoy about it. But even just getting your hands dirty, gardening, all these things, you're watching something cultivate and grow. I think there's a lot of lessons in that, but just basic life skills. You don't want your kids to be so conditioned to this dollar limit activity that the first time they ever mow their lawn is when they buy a house and they're like, okay, so where does the gas go?
Yeah.
Does this thing require oil? How do I, the most basic things, right? And that's kind of our job too. I mean, that is part of our job too, is to introduce them to adulthood.
Yeah.
And most likely they're not going to be able to, out of college, afford somebody to come cut their grass.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we talk about like teaching our kids about financial literacy, like teaching them about, money and investing and all the financial literacy stuff. But you could say the same thing for just those skills, those like random house skills and hammer nails and changing a light bulb and, building a bench. Maybe,
Dude, and today, you know how many times Noah's asked me about this bench?
Yeah.
Because we started working on it.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like you just have to listen to your kids too, to realize I could go buy a bench, dude. Like I could go buy a bench.
Yeah.
Or I could build it on my own or whatever. But engaging the kids, man.
It might be cheaper for you to go buy a bench instead of going and buying all the wood and the right. hourly, the time it takes for you to build this bench and the hourly cost to that and all these kind of things. But yeah, man, like maybe start doing some more manual labor, maybe start building some things with your kids, and maybe like, do stuff around your house that you'd typically hire out to kind of teach your kids those skills. I mean, I think it's good, man. My brain is just like starting to stir about all the things that I could do instead of hiring it out.
Well, and they respond, depending on the kid too, they respond to it, right? Like not all my kids are not, Noah is very much like, Dad, let's go clean the car. Let's go. And he wants to, he's a whole bottle of Windex on the bottom corner of a window because he's just like getting it, and that thing is shining. I think he probably has like rubs his way through layers of glass if that's possible.
Yeah.
But he, that's how he's built. And I want to encourage that. But the other kids are not necessarily that way, but you don't know how they are unless you get into that and you get into that rhythm and you spend the time, the quality and really invest that into doing the things that resonate, and then encouraging them in the things that they love. And then also being like, but hey, real life is that you got to cut your grass.
Yeah.
Like, that's just real life. So
teach our girls how to cut grass too,
Heck yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, there's no reason why, like in my house, we don't discriminate with between the sexes and the work that you have to put in to maintain the house. And so I think that, these are just great lessons for not only them to observe, but it's also beautiful for me, right? The joy that I have.
Yeah.
And my kids doing, and then making it fun, right? Giving them hairstyles with the shop vac is just fun. It's a lot of fun.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So, hey, take action, fire your lawn guy, and go do your own dang grass.
If you don't take anything from today, it's just
Yeah,
fire your lawn guy.
that's right.
No, and again, right? Everything is, I mean, there's times to do it and times to not, right? And there's
Yeah,
times to really to to if you're hiring out your lawn and you're taking your kids to do something fun at the pool, that's a pretty good trade-off.
sure. Yep. Sounds good, man. That was a pretty good deep thought and not so dumb. You're still dumb, but it was a good deep thought.
I mean, it was good, real good deep thoughts. Really appreciate the mastermind. One consistent thing is that there's two consistent things. One, there's going to be great conversation in it. And two, like everybody in that room, everybody thinks you're really dumb. Like not just me. Everybody in the room is like, wow, Stu, dumb.
So if you think that I'm dumb, you should go join the Storehouse Mastermind.
Oh, dude, we can't handle. Hey,
wait.
caveat: we can't handle everybody at once. So, I mean, come join, but like we may have to, spread out the applications, because if the basis for the application is if you think Stu is dumb, then this thing is just going to blow up.
Storehouse310.com/mastermind. Go do it.
And if you're going to be dumb, at least be with a group of deep dudes that are dumb together, doing deep stuff. You're a dumb. Love you. Peace.
See ya.